Back in July of 2024, I challenged myself to beat 9 Metroidvanias in 12 days and coined it Metroidvania Mania. I still like that name. And surprisingly, I did complete all of the games in about 120 hours, which was too much gaming in 12 days for me personally. But I wanted to do another similar challenge as I love Metroidvanias, but give myself a little more leeway. What I came up with was trying to beat 15 Metroidvania games in a single month, but I could only beat them live on Twitch. I could just easily no-life all of the games, but I like having a life, to be honest, and I typically stream 5 days a week, so I'm sticking with that schedule. And for each game I don't complete, I will owe 5 gifted subs on Twitch, which is about $30. So that's the motivation to fully beat all these games, because I don't want to be broke. Now we need to find 15 games. Obviously, I did all of that already. Do I look stupid? I came prepared. It's not a lot of Metroidvanias you will probably expect. These are all of the Metroidvanias I've beaten in the past, and these are the 15 games I intend on beating in 1 month. So let's get to it. Of course, we need to spin the good old wheel to figure out what game we're going to be playing first. You can't just randomly pick. That would be anarchy. See the most? The one I am not prepared for is Metroid Zero Mission, because I don't even know if my Switch is charged. The one game I'm not really prepared for because my Switch is not charged, but I guess we'll do it first. Sure. Okay, so the first game in, and I have already lied. I'm sorry. But this is the only game on this wheel that I have fully beaten. But I beat it all the way back in 2021. I mean, you can tell this is old footage. I have hair, for God's sakes, and I kind of look a lot younger, smaller, and my stream layout is a mess. My God, who let me do this? But I just really wanted to play Metroid Zero Mission again, and this challenge was a good excuse to do so. But it's a remake of the original Metroid game with updated visuals and some new gameplay, and it was released in 2004. Not the oldest game on this list, but one of them. The story for this game is you play as Samus Aran, who is sent on a mission to break into the space pirates base to kill the mother brain that controls the defenses of the pirates. While in the base, you find tons of upgrades for movement and your weapons with a stronger beam and bombs. I love these Metroid games. The core of a Metroidvania is just always executed so well, and the giant interconnected map is always something I love to marvel at.
Everywhere I go, I see his face.
But like a lot of games in this genre, it's pretty short. A prime time for me with one of these games would be 10 to 15 hours to 100%. Obviously, some variables are in there, but Metroid Zero Mission is something I was able to beat in about 6 hours. But I only collected 62% of the items. There isn't a goal really for collecting everything, but I tend to love fully completing these games, but it did take me 2 days to beat it. At least it still has the best boss fight with Kraid. Kat's so excited for the Kraid fight that she's in here right now. Oh, I'm sorry, my king. Or queen. Now, what do we get to play next? But the first game I played was Metroid, so that one's already done. Let's spin this wheel and see what we get. Let's see what game we're playing that none of you have ever heard of. Death's Door. Man, this is not really starting too hot. Before you say anything, I know this isn't really much of a Metroidvania, but look at the bottom of those Steam tags. It says Metroidvania, so it's clearly one, right? Well, no, not really. Listen, I've played so many Metroidvanias, and this game has been on my backlog for a really long time, so I decided to let it slide. It doesn't have that giant interconnected map that I love, but it did have some elements of a Metroidvania with getting some new abilities and then backtracking to get more items and upgrades if you wanted to, but that's really it. Death's Door is also a pretty simple game with its story. You're playing as a crow reaping souls of the dead, and your assigned soul goes missing. You meet an older crow, and it's now your job to open up this giant door, and you need the power of 3 giant souls to open it. Each giant soul is locked behind a boss fight in an area with some puzzles and enemies. You do gain a new ability after each area, which is where the Metroidvania aspect comes in, and you can find a few new weapons, but I never really found any other weapons to use, to be honest. I did like this game. I found the boss fights to be the most unique. The soul collecting to upgrade the bird was quite fun, and the few secrets I did were nice. I am a little sad with how little I did end up finding towards the end of my playthrough, but I did beat the game in 9.5 hours. Here, you can watch a little of the final boss. Oh, dude, come on. The boss fight was a little long, but hey, 2 games done in 5 days. I'm gonna need to pick up the pace on this one. Here's the next game. Well, you're hoping for a video game. You want Guns of Fury? Cool. Let's see what Metroidvania we get to play next. We're going with Haiku the Robot. Haiku the Robot. I was excited for this one because it's another game I've had on my backlog for well over a year, and the creator actually also made Rusty's Retirement, which is a fun little idle game. But Haiku the Robot, you play as one little guy who's very much friend-shaped. I mean, look at him, he's adorable. And you fight corrupt machines and figure out what happened to this robot world, really. I started playing this game 7 days into this challenge, and it took me just over 7 hours to beat in 2 separate streams, which is the pace we need to go at if I don't want to owe any money. But this game was still very fun. I'll admit it started off a little bit slow. In the beginning is more negative as the game does not tell you anything to do, and I found myself just wandering around for an hour and a half just discovering new areas that needed new abilities before being able to access them. Dude, this is a rough game. I'm not gonna lie to you. So far, it's kind of rough. I don't mind being lost in a Metroidvania, but this is... Every room I haven't gone through yet, it hasn't led to anything else. It just leads to stuff that I can't do. But like a lot of Metroidvanias, this game got a lot better once I figured out where to go. The upgrades you find for movement are pretty simple but still fun. You had a morph ball, bigger jumps, a grapple hook, a teleporter, some usual suspects in this genre, but it was still relieving to see, and the extra collectibles to find with chips and health upgrades made collecting in this game quite fun. It did also have quite a few boss fights that were easily missable, but were all still kind of easy. Even the last boss, it killed me a couple times, but once you figured out its pattern, it was very predictable. Defeat the virus. Once you kind of figured it out, it was kind of easy once you figured it out. It took a couple tries, but I got it. But alas, I did beat this game, and it was the most complete game so far. 94.9. Ugh. Well, I'll worry about that next time off stream. I'll clear that up, but I promise I will 100% one of these games, but maybe it'll be the next one. All right, let's see what we get next. Haven't had to load up the Xbox yet for any of them. We're getting Momodora Moonlit Farewell. I have never heard of this game until this challenge. Hell, I didn't even find this game. I was taking some suggestions from Twitch chat because I needed a couple Metroidvanias and thought it looked good enough. And it turns out to be a whole series, which I never heard of, but hey, you play as Momo from the village of Koho, and your job is to basically just save the world. Everybody's dying. This game also took me 2 streams to finish, and I did beat it in about 10 hours. Hell, this was the game I finally really beat. Tell me how much I collected. If you don't, I'll be so sad. 109%. Are you kidding me? Yeah, you can get well over 100% in this game, and I also got no achievements the entire time, but that was just a bug. I got them now, don't worry, thank goodness, my gamer score is safe. But Momodora as a whole was honestly really, really fun. At first, it felt a little bit slow with movement and combat, but once you start getting upgrades for movement and new items to enhance the combat in the game, it really did evolve to be a lot of fun. Now, I will admit I almost hated this game after my first session was done. I forgot where I was because I stopped playing for a day, and when I finally came back, I got lost for 2 hours, and all I had to do was go up an elevator and talk to a big-boobed princess. Say goodbye to mommy. So, turns out I forgot to look at an elevator for 2 hours. Good job, me. That's classic me right there. That was a little embarrassing, I will not lie to you. But it happens to the best of us. It probably happens to you, doesn't it? But almost every boss was done in one try, and everything else in this game is just done right, in my opinion, with a Metroidvania. Fast travel took a little bit to unlock, but it's implemented well. I love fast travel in a Metroidvania. But my absolute favorite thing was it showing where every unlockable is on the map without needing to do anything. I always appreciate a Metroidvania doing that. Granted, this game did it a little earlier than I'd expect, but it made it a more enjoyable experience. You may have taken me 10 hours to beat Momodora, but it was a very enjoyable 10 hours, minus the 2 I was lost for. But what do we have next? Beat it in this sit-in. I have 8.5 hours until Doom. The one game I said I would not be able to beat is Axiom Verge. And of course, that's the one game that I get. I want to try to beat the game in one sitting. We're re-rolling. I'm sorry, Axiom Verge. You're going to have to wait a little bit longer. I do not know how long Voidwrought is. Main story, 8 hours. Completion is 26.5 hours. Main plus side, 15. Christ. No, we just... one more reroll. One more reroll. We can do this. Give me a shorty. Okay, that's a shorty. There we go. That's a shorty. SteamWorld Dig. I could beat that one in one sitting. Okay, I needed a short game next due to some other obligations that I made, and Axiom Verge and Voidwrought are games I'm excited for, but I felt they would not be able to be beaten in 8 hours. So they're next after SteamWorld Dig. At this point, this was the shortest game, and I lost immediately. Did I seriously soft lock myself in the first 2 seconds of this game? Don't worry, I restarted and made sure not to get soft locked in the very beginning of the game. But SteamWorld Dig was the most simple game of the bunch so far. You go down, dig, get materials, come back up, get upgrades for your drill, carrying pouch, and future upgrades like a super jump with water. I did end up beating this game in one sit-in, and it took me about 4 hours or so, which felt just right. If the game had lasted any longer, I would have been bored out of my mind. It's a fine concept and it was executed well, but after a couple hours, I was more than content. It did remind me a little bit of Dome Keeper, which is one of my favorite roguelites ever. And I did appreciate how easy you could get soft locked after the tutorial. You had to be aware of how you were drilling, because if you couldn't get back up, well... Aha! No! Me money! I had a few deaths like that in my playthrough, but eventually you can buy a teleporter to easily get back up to the surface. This game was just fine, and I might play the second one if I ever do another Metroidvania challenge like this again. Let me know if you like this. I beat SteamWorld Dig on the 12th of the month, and the next game was Axiom Verge. Game number 6 of 15. But first, I got addicted to Doom: The Dark Ages. That was my obligation from what I said earlier. I somehow got an early copy and wanted to play it a few days early, so the next 4 days on stream was dedicated to me fully beating Doom. I got all the achievements and it was a fine game. But now back to our regularly scheduled program, and that was not an ad, I just wanted to tell you I like Doom. Ooh, I was excited for Axiom Verge. I've heard a lot of great things, and it has a 90% positive review score on Steam. So I had high hopes. I started on the 16th of the month and did beat it in about 10 hours, but I was a lot more disappointed than I expected, and let me explain. I sucked. It's just that simple. I was not good at this game. I was a professional complainer when it came to this one, but I felt my complaints were somewhat justified. But the story for Axiom Verge was fine. You play as a scientist named Trace and you get knocked out in the world of Sudra, and your job is to kill an evil scientist named Athatos. The story is something I was not disappointed with. I genuinely think I did not like this game as much because I played it on hard mode. I mean, what am I supposed to do here? Dude, I don't even know what the f this thing is, but I can't get rid of it. What is attacking me? And why won't it die? Okay, game. The answer is obvious. I could just get good, but there are good things with Axiom Verge. When I beat the game, I only had 61% of the items, but did fill out 90% of the map and only died 100 times. But a lot of enemies just felt more annoying than hard, even on hard mode. The sound design was also not the greatest, and I assume it's because it's inspired by classic NES games. Boss fights were Like I said, hard mode. I genuinely think I would have had a better experience on normal mode, but I can't go back to the past. The game is done now, and it's game number 6 done. And we finished it on the 18th of the month, and we already know that Voidwrought is next. And I got a free copy of this game when it released back in October and played it for 30 minutes with the intention of making a video, but had to take a rain check on it. Sorry, Voidwrought, I ghosted you for 7 months. But this challenge was the perfect excuse to get you played, and it was honestly incredible. This might be the best Metroidvania we've played so far. I beat it in just over 8 hours, and I'll admit I'm a little disappointed I only got 64% completion, but I promise it's not my fault. I did not understand what we were doing for most of the game in terms of story, and even now I don't really know. But I do know this game gives you a lot of different options. The main combat is kind of simple. You get some relics for passive buffs and items you can equip, but I felt the map was so well made. The fast travel was nice and I unlocked it early. The amount of upgrades you got and the pacing of them was really impressive. While I was playing it, I did say the game started off a little bit slow, but so did Haiku the Robot, and that game turned out to be a lot of fun, so I stayed really optimistic, and Voidwrought really turned it around. The game also has a lot of bosses to beat, and they were all kind of easy, because look how easy this is. I literally could just do this the entire time. Oh, never mind. I spoke too soon, but we're back. Ah. Oh, I'm dead. Not that boss. That one doesn't count. It doesn't. I totally died on purpose. Hell, I killed the final boss in one try, and then the game just ended and I had zero clue it was the final boss. I definitely want to clean this game up and get all the collectibles when I can, but for now we have 8 more games to play and only 7 more streams to do it, as it's the 21st day of the month when we beat this game. Oh, Jesus. Feeling Sheepo in the future? Alright, well, let's see what we get. I got 8 more games to beat in 7 streams. Not Sheepo, we're getting Yars Rising. Yars Rising. This is one of those games that when I watch the trailer, it doesn't look that fun to me, but after playing it for 9 hours and beating it in a couple days, it honestly wasn't all that bad. It's part of the Yars IP from Atari, and I won't lie, I've always had a soft spot for this series. Maybe it's because they sponsored me like 3 years ago to play Yars Recharged and I enjoyed it a lot, but because of that, I was more optimistic about this game going in. Now, the main combat was kind of boring after a bit, but the upgrades for the Metroidvania aspect were consistent and did enhance the game quite a bit with simple shooting, flying, dashing, swimming, you name it. This game might also have one of the smaller maps in this challenge, but it was still a solid 9 hours long. The best part by far was the homage paid to the original Yars game with the hacks. These gave you new abilities, opened up doors, or passive buffs to equip. The bosses weren't really anything special, but this was fine, and it was one of the first games I really did beat. 100% baby, that's at least 2 games I've gotten 100% in. At least I've gotten 2 games with 100%. That's what matters. We have about 6 or 7 more days of me streaming and still have 7 more games to go, so let's see what we get next. Alright, well, we have 7 games left in Metroidvania. You have no hopes? Damn, don't tell Panic at the Disco. They want people with high hopes. We are playing Sheepo. We are playing Sheepo next. Isn't that exhilarating? Okay, this one is simple. I expected Sheepo to be the shortest game on the wheel, and it almost was. I ended up beating it in just over 4 hours, just a little longer than SteamWorld, but this is the first game created by Kyle Thompson. His second game is still on the list, and his third game is Crypt Custodian. Good Metroidvania. But Sheepo, you can tell, is the first project. It's short, simple, and easy. Not much else to say. You collect 6 eggs in this interconnected world, and each egg gives you a new ability from an animal. It's kinda like Biomorph, but more simple as there wasn't any combat. I tried my best to collect everything in this little game, as the only collectibles were feathers and a few cans that give you more max HP. The movement was fine, some tricky puzzles that made me feel like I was sequence breaking, but overall a good short time. I wish I could have done more. I have other Metroidvanias to beat. I'm sorry, I have other Metroidvanias to beat. I wish I could 100% this one. But alas, we have 6 more games to beat, and it's the 23rd of the month, and the wheel landed on Iconoclasts next. Iconoclast is an interesting game. I'll admit, after playing through it, it kind of reminds me of The Messenger, which is a phenomenal game. But it reminds me of that because it doesn't really start out as a Metroidvania, or at least it feels like it doesn't, and more so an action platformer. But it does pick up in terms of Metroidvania-ness, is that a word? Towards the middle of the game. You play as a mechanic named Robin and travel through a dying planet helping everyone that you meet. You have tons of important side characters with Royal, Mina, and Elro. Each character goes through their own personal stories and you see them unfold, really. The storytelling in this game was stellar, and just a side note for me, I love the aesthetic of this game. Graphics, sound design, it really reminds me of a Game Boy Advance game, and it plays incredibly well. I do have some negatives to say where the story felt like it dragged on for quite a while and the endgame felt like it was 4 hours long, but I also blame me playing 9 hours in a single session to beat it since it was the 25th of the month and I'm running out of time here. I did collect over 50% of the items, which is somewhat nice considering I did not backtrack at all, as I usually do in Metroidvanias, but almost every puzzle in the game was kinda simple, except towards the end it was also kinda funny. No! Wait, I have a better idea. Why didn't I just do that before? That could be the way to do it for all I know. That could have been the way to do it, and all these other puzzles was just an illusion, you know? I also hated the tower area because I got stuck for an hour because I forgot about an ability. Oh my god. Yeah. You can spam I'm an idiot all you want. You deserve that, man. Literally just start spamming it. Just start spamming it. Yeah, that's a total skill issue there, but still an area I did not like. And watching me play it, you would think I did not enjoy it too much, but genuinely, this was a great game, and I was happy the wheel finally landed on it as it took me 13 hours to beat. Now, what do we have next? But right now, it is May 26th. I only have... no, actually, I don't stream on Tuesdays. 4 more streams. I don't stream Saturday and Tuesday, and Saturday's the last day of the month. I got 4 more streams to beat 5 games. We're about to be going pretty hard. We got Islets, 9 Years of Shadows, Castlevania, Gato Roboto, and Guns of Fury. 2 of these are on Xbox because they were cheaper. Let's see what we get next. We are getting the second of the Kyle Thompson games with Islets. It's finally time for Islets, the second game made by Kyle Thompson. Once this is done, I can say I finally completed the Thompson trifecta, and I beat Islets in 1 sit-in. It's not incredibly long. It just took me about 7 hours to beat, and I was able to get 94% of the game complete, and I love this game. I played it in hard mode, and overall the game was still really easy. But hard mode did enhance a few of the boss fights to actually give me somewhat of a challenge. You play as a warrior named Aiko who's trying to connect 5 islands together. Each island is filled with upgrades to find, which are pretty simple, and a couple bosses. Islets is incredibly simple, and I enjoyed it a lot, but it did have this weird section where you fly a little airplane, and at first I did not really enjoy it, but as the game went on, it grew on me a little bit, and even the plane got a couple upgrades. The upgrades Aiko get are simple with movement, and even arrow upgrades to help with movement. There isn't much more to say of this game. Simple, fun, and I almost 100%ed it. But alas, what can you do? I wanted 100% this game. I'll have to go back and do it, but I don't have the time to do it, sadly. We have done 11 games. It is the 26th of May. I am running out of time because my last stream is on the 30th. That's when this challenge ends. So we have to spin. We have to get going. Castlevania is what most people want. People have been waiting for that one. And ladies and gentlemen, it's finally going to happen. It is time for Castlevania. Oh my god, you guys are happy about that one, probably. This is probably the most anticipated game for people that watch this live. A lot of viewers were asking for it, and it's finally time. The oldest game on this list, with it being made in 1997. A game that helped define this very genre, and my first time playing this series as a whole. I don't count playing Super Smash Bros. As playing Castlevania, but regardless, I was very excited to finally play this game. The story of Symphony of the Night picks off from the previous game, Rondo of Blood, but you play as Alucard, who goes into Dracula's castle with the intent of destroying it, and he meets Richter Belmont, who claims to be the new ruler of the castle. This game has multiple endings. Let's just get that out of the way. You have the ending for killing Richter, the bad ending, which I did get while playing, but I intended on playing a lot more, and then you have the normal ending for finding out Richter is being controlled thanks to the holy glasses you get from Maria, who is also in this castle, and you kill Dracula in that ending. And then there's a third good ending that you get for completing 196% of the game, which is the same boss fight as the normal ending that I got, which has you go through the entire castle again, but upside down. I thought this game was spectacular, especially for one made in 1997. The slow progression of finding new abilities on top of the RPG elements, which at this point was never seen in a Metroidvania until now, made this an incredible game. You can find tons of different items and weapons to equip that have different stats, potions, and relics to passively buff you. I will say I found most of the bosses kind of easy, and towards the end I could just tank them all. But I loved every minute of this game, minus this stupid boss. This is a terrible fight. This is an absolutely terrible fight. Like, you can't do anything. Everything hits you like absolutely crazy. Like, what is this? But everything was incredible. The music, just the entire atmosphere this game is set in, allowed it to be such an enjoyable experience. I beat it in about 11 hours and beat it on the 28th of the month, meaning I have 3 more games to beat and only 2 days to do it, since I am not playing games on stream on the last day of May. But most importantly, this. I'm gonna take a guess and say 190%, 123%, 150 to 160. I got 184.3% done. It's the third Metroidvania with over 100% done. I wish I could 100% more of the games, but I got over 90% in a couple of them, so not bad. Now, what do we got next? So I have 3 games to beat in 2 days. And I'm trying not to stream 10 hours on both days because I like having a life, believe it or not. So let's just see. We have 9 Years of Shadows, Guns of Fury, Gato Roboto. Gato Robot, I don't know. The cat game. Let's see what we get. We get the cat game first. All right. About dang time this one showed up. This is probably the shortest Metroidvania on this entire wheel. So getting it out of the way now is good because we started it on the 29th of the month and only have 1 more full day after this. And we did beat this game in about 3 hours. I did 100% it, 4th game to fully 100%, and it's a blast. You play as a cat in a robot mech suit after your pilot owner crashes onto a planet. Really, this was not a hard game. The enemies weren't anything too crazy, and the amount of upgrades to weapons and health makes the game a bit easy, even in the end. The upgrades for the Metroidvania part of the game are all incredibly fun, and the pacing of collecting in the story make it a super great experience, and could be a great starter Metroidvania for anyone who's trying to get into the genre. Gato Roboto only lasting 3 hours gives me plenty of time on the second last day to play whatever game is next. We have 2 games left. Oh my god, it's the 29th of the month. I have 1 stream left after this one, but beat 2 games. I don't think they're that long, so this should be doable. I might not owe any money. Isn't that the dream? Let's see what the game is. This is the last wheel spin since we'll know what the last game is, but maybe we'll spin the wheel for fun. Oh, it's gonna be a close wheel spin. It's a close wheel spin. Oh my god, it's 9 Years of Shadows. I don't think they're that long. We'll see. The second last game of this marathon is 9 Years of Shadows. I started playing it on my second last day of playing, and my goal was to beat it in the same day as Gato Roboto. And it was going pretty well, but then I ended up getting stuck with what seemed to be no solution, and, well, maybe it's just 1 room, and I'm just an idiot, and I was like, okay, I'm taking heat damage, let's leave. Hit the thing? We're not playing Marvel Rivals, I can't slap that ass of the thing. What thing? I saw a firewall and was like, oh, I'm leaving. I can't be here. Well, that's unfortunate. If you can please, don't even talk to me. I wandered around the map for an hour and a half trying to figure out where to go, and it turns out I just missed a button. It could happen to anyone, but with that setback, I obviously did not beat the game on that day. I played it for 6 hours on day one, which means I streamed for about 9.5, and then finished up the game on the final day of the marathon in 3 more hours, meaning I beat 9 Years of Shadows in about 9 hours total, and it was just fine. The art style and the music was top notch, I'll say that, and the upgrades you received to enhance movement with different pieces of armor was nice and unique. I'll give the game that. But the combat was way too easy. Throughout the entire game, you have this little spirit following you, and it builds up a magic meter in the top left corner. But that meter also counted as your health along with the little red bars next to it. And that's fine, but you can replenish the magic meter whenever you want. It is a bit harder to replenish inside of combat, but it doesn't take long to do. So it made the combat really easy, and it kind of ruined the game for me to an extent. I'll go back to 100% this game for sure, but I hope the next title these devs are working on has slightly, maybe not so slightly, harder combat to enhance the game. Also, the end game kind of sucked for one reason and one reason only. Bro, ain't no way this froze on me. Hit a button? I have hit a button. I am hitting the A button. Press A? You think I haven't pressed A? I've been pressing A for 10 seconds. Oh, streamer, at the bottom right corner, did you see that big A button? Did you try hitting that? Yeah, I tried it. Nothing's working. Press all the buttons. I think I need to restart. Okay, quick restart. I tried holding the button too. Yes, I tried holding the button. Ah! Yeah, I had to beat the final boss twice, but don't worry, it was so easy. And I may have lost an extra 5 minutes due to that, but the final game was now starting on that final day of the marathon, and it was Guns of Fury, and this game was awesome. It seems inspired by something like Metal Slug, but it's a run-and-gun Metroidvania where you play as a super soldier, it seems like, and your job is to save a scientist who was forced to help build some super weapon for the bad guys. I love this game and immediately knew it was going to be a great time. It also gave me the best out-of-context clip on my channel this year. Miyamoto's not 88, that dude's only like 73. Siri, how old is Shigeru Miyamoto?
Shakira is 48 years old.
No, not Shakira. Shakira's 48, apparently. Okay, that's just a funny little goof and a gag, but this game did everything right. The map was much bigger than you'd expect, but also allowed for easy fast travel while still collecting a lot of items and upgrades. Your main items were a pistol that had unlimited ammo, bigger guns like snipers, machine guns, and even flamethrowers that did not have unlimited ammo, but it was easy to replenish, and even throwable items like grenades, molotovs, and all of that. You can increase the amount of ammo on your throwables and bigger guns, along with increasing your health with collectible items. While the story is pretty simple to follow, it's really easy to get lost and just catch yourself exploring and then accidentally run into one of the many bosses. And all the bosses are incredibly skill-based and really fun to face. But the main question is, did I beat this game in one sit-in? And the answer is no. I threw in the towel after about 7 hours of playtime because at that point I was streaming for over 10 hours. And look at these long streams I've done in the past month. I was a little tired and just straight up exhausted. I wanted to go melt on my couch for the night. I had 89% of Guns of Fury done, and it was definitely one of my favorite games, but I was not able to beat it on stream in the allotted time that I gave myself. I did end up beating it the next day in 30 minutes because it turns out the weapons I had, the sniper, could shoot switches that you can't see without scoping, and I somehow missed that while trying to figure out what to do next. So I still beat it in May, but I'll say it doesn't fully count in terms of this challenge. And at the end of the month, month, I only owed 5 gifted subs on Twitch and ended up streaming a total of 187 hours, with 124 hours being spent on these 15 Metroidvanias. I could have skipped Doom the Dark Ages or Balatro because I streamed both of those for 20 hours, but both of those games rock and I wanted to play them. But all of these Metroidvanias played in that 1 month were fantastic. I had a lot of these games in my backlog for so long, and this challenge and video was a great excuse to tackle and talk about a lot of them. Here's a photo of a ranking that I did to showcase my favorite games from this month, and I'll say I'm surprised Castlevania is number 1, but after thinking about it, that game may end up being one of my favorites of all time, and really makes me want to try the whole series. I was also a little surprised with Yars Rising being so high up on the list, but those hacking mini games really made that game so enjoyable. Overall, I'd recommend every single game talked about in this video, and I'm extremely happy that I was able to play so many great games, even if I technically didn't beat all 15 under my little rule set. It was a lot of fun, and I greatly appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. I really do hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, that's all. I'll see you next time.